Before all the drugs, before the steroids, before the Red Bulls, this guy was smoking cigarettes and he was breaking records. Usually, the car story happens with us. You know, we experience and we move on with the car, but in some cases, the car already has an epic story before it even gets to us. But this little Lancia has got quite a story of itself. It's a two-door cabriolet, and it's got a V4. It's no larger than a 15-pound bowling ball at most. They're super hard to deal with. They're super hard to work on. So we heard, we're like, oh, you know, it's another one of these little Lancias. It's got the V4 in it. This thing's going to be a little pain in the ass. It's stuffed in someone's garage up in Michigan. We're told that it's bodied by Pininfarina. It's got some aluminum one-off bodies. We're like, okay, it's a Pininfarina. Sometimes it might not be in the factory's documents, because as the car leaves, it could just leave as a chassis. So like in the 50s and 60s, Ferrari didn't build any of their bodies in-house. All of their frames and their engines and their transmissions and their drivelines were sent after they were constructed outside the factory to a coach builder like Pininfarina. So this was one of those cars that was kind of a little off the radar. Pininfarina builds their cars. Sometimes Pininfarina builds a run of 5 or 10 of them. Within the badges and all of the other little chrome tidbits that you find, there was a Pininfarina Speciale badge. And when you see the Speciale badge, that means this is the only one that was built. And inside a coffee can on the floor, I'm digging through it. I'm like, it's a fucking Pininfarina Speciale. It's a fucking, dude. It's not like you can just go buy that emblem from a dollar store. You can't buy the damn emblem on eBay, not a legit one. We know that it's a one-off, one-of-one creation, custom built for Lancia in collaboration with coach builder Pininfarina. The guy that's selling the car is like, listen, this thing is extremely significant. You don't quite know what you got here. I've got all these Lancia historians, the guys that know, banging down my door for this. But I just really want a cash deal. I want the thing to be out. It's been in my garage for years. I'm moving. It's too damn cold up here. So I said, okay, yeah, no problem. Call up the customer. Yep, let's take it. Let's do it. Let's restore it. So the owner of the car had no idea the story. We didn't know the story. We're just thinking that it's another, at most it might be another little Alfa Romeo, right? Might get lucky. So we bought the car for next to nothing. I can't disclose how much, but it was next to nothing compared to what it's worth now. Brought it back to the shop, started stripping it down, doing a full 1,000-point restoration on it, concours quality, as we usually do on the cars that come in. We started doing some legwork on the history. So we go back through the chain of ownership, and it leads us back to a gentleman that was one of the most winningest cyclists in Europe at that time, Gino Bartoli. Before all the drugs, before the steroids, before the Red Bulls, this guy was smoking cigarettes and he was breaking records. It was his personal car. How did he get this car built for him? Pininfarina reached out to him and recognized not only what he was doing as a cyclist, but as a humanitarian, call it. He was riding in and out of France on his training days. So basically, Gino Bartoli would jump on his bike and he would run in and out of war-occupied Germany at that time on his bicycle to increase stamina, get prepared for the race. But he was doing it so often that everyone's like, yo, this dude's just a machine. He'll run all the way up through the mountains, hillside, countryside, miles and miles and miles a day. This dude was in it to win it every day. So over excessive training, he won year in, year out. People are trying to connect the dots, and they're saying yo, this dude's got was he seeing a mistress? Has he got someone he's going to visit here? No one can quite put it together, but he's still winning the races. He's going in and out of Germany more often. Now Germany's falling apart, concentration camps, the Nazi regime, everyone's moving in, taking over, it's getting hard. He's still in and out, bam, 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 day in and day out. Lancia teams up with Pininfarina and says, we know what you're doing low key. No one else knows. Gino Bartoli's like, oh shit, these guys, no. But if anyone else finds out or knows, I'm dead. One of the most epic cyclists of that time would be shot, killed. So we're thinking, what the fuck was this guy doing? Was that bad? Was he running drugs in and out of fucking Europe? At that time, it really didn't matter. Everything was legal. It was like fair game. So they built this epic Lancia for him. It was a one-off alloy-bodied, beautiful. I mean, it's a piece of rolling art, essentially. The story is he was running in and out of war-stricken Germany at that time with documents stuffed inside of his bike frame. So now you're saying to yourself, what sort of documents was he running back? Was this like your propaganda? But dude, there were actually documents to help save the Jews that were stuck in concentration camps at that time for execution. And there were documents whether to prove that they were citizens of a neighboring country or they were of a different descent or nationality, supplying them with the necessary paperwork so they can get people out. So not only was he winning the races, he was training, but more than any other reason, it was his passion for the people, trying to help individuals out. And he was running this course all the time. They actually hold annually a pilgrimage to and from in and out of Jerusalem or around the city of about 5,000 cyclists. So it was just like this vicious cycle he got himself into. No pun intended. He was going back and forth, documents, training, winning the Tour de France, notoriety, getting free cars, back and forth. No one knew what he was doing except for Pininfarina and Lancia. So when they built this car for him, it was such a beautiful design that Jaguar copied this design and started the XK 120. And Lancia at that time with Pininfarina were just small guys that were small companies. So they had built the XK 120 and basically said, you know what, if you want to fight us over it, then by all means go ahead. And they just they didn't have the money to back it. But if it wasn't for this little Lancia, there would be no Jaguar today.